After watching a horror movie, the class beauty suddenly had a strange urge to experience being scared unconscious by a ghost. In my previous life, my childhood friend Luyan didn't hesitate. He teamed up with several boys in the class and knocked me out. They painted me as a zombie ghost with a green face and sharp fangs, tied my limbs, and sealed my mouth before pushing me in front of the class beauty, Suman. Suman screamed in terror and grabbed a wooden bench, swinging it at me. 1, 2, 3. I suffered multiple fractures all over my body, my face was completely disfigured, and I lay in the ICU for 3 months later. I insisted on filing a lawsuit, but the Su family had money and influence. They bribed my classmates to change their statements, claiming that I had voluntarily participated in the prank and that Suman was merely reacting out of shock. Luyan knelt outside the hospital room, crying and begging me for forgiveness, but on the day Suman was taken away by the police, he blocked me and said, "Yo, Suman didn't mean it, she was just too scared." At that moment, I realized that my 18 years of affection were, in his eyes, nothing more than a disposable bargaining chip. Later, I dragged my half-disabled body to school to retrieve the deleted surveillance footage. Suman blocked the abandoned stairwell, smiling as she asked me, "Xinyao, you've already become like this, so why won't you just shut up?" During the argument, she pushed me down the stairs. As I tumbled down, Luyan was standing right at the stairwell entrance. He clearly reached out his hand, but when Suman cried out, "Brother Yin, save me," he turned to help her instead. My head slammed against the steps, blood streaming down the stairs. Before I died, I heard Luyan screaming my name in despair. Unfortunately, I never opened my eyes again. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to that afternoon. Suman was leaning delicately against Luyan, pretending to be scared as she said, "Brother Yin, I really want to experience what it feels like to be genuinely scared by a ghost and faint." 1. The sunlight in the classroom was just right. Chalk dust settled in the blackboard tray, and a breeze blew in from the window, rustling the physics competition materials on my desk. I lowered my head to look at the half-finished problem on the scratch paper, my fingertips gradually tightening. In my previous life, it was after these words that Luyan turned his gaze toward me. He said, "Shin Yao, come here for a moment." I went over. I thought it was just a normal prank. I thought that my childhood friend, whom I've known for 18 years, at least wouldn't truly hurt me, but the truth proved that some people don't know pain. He just thought it didn't hurt him, so it didn't matter. Sure enough, the next second, Luyan sat up straight, a flicker of excitement in his eyes. "Xinyao," he called my name, his tone still carrying that same air of entitlement as before. "Come here for a moment." I didn't get up immediately like I did in my previous life. First, I placed my phone screen down on the table and pressed the record button. Then, I opened the emergency contact location sharing feature on my watch. Only after doing all this did I look up at him. "What is it?" Luyan paused for a moment. In the past, whenever he called me, I would always go over immediately. This time, I stayed seated and didn't move, and he seemed a little uncomfortable. Suman leaned closer to him, smiling sweetly and softly. "Classmate Xinyao, do me a small favor, please." Luyan continued her words, "Just play a game with us. It's simple, just pretend to be a ghost and scare people a little." I glanced at Suman. The malice that flashed in her eyes was clearly visible to me. I said calmly, "I'm not going." The classroom fell silent for a few seconds. Li Hao was the first to laugh. "Xinyao, don't be a killjoy. Luyan has already spoken up." Wang Ming chimed in as well. "It's just a little game. Aren't you the one who listens to Luyan the most?" I put down my pen and looked up at them. Why should I listen to him the most? As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned. Luyan's expression darkened. "Xinyao, did you take the wrong medicine today?" I smiled. "No, I just suddenly realized something. You want to seek thrills, you want to experience horror, that's your business. Dragging an unwilling person into cooperation isn't a game, it's bullying." Luyan's expression turned completely grim. Suman bit her lip, and her eyes instantly turned red. "Xinyao, I just wanted to have some fun. If you don't want to, that's fine. No need to be so harsh with your words." Luyan immediately turned to me, his tone impatient. "Can't you stop being so aggressive?" Familiar words. It was the same in the previous life, with just one complaint from Suman. He would blame me for everything. I picked up my school bag and stood up. "Since you all think I'm spoiling the mood, then I'll leave." I turned and walked out of the classroom. When I reached the door, I glanced back. Luyan was staring at me, his gaze dark and gloomy. At that moment, I knew he wouldn't let this go, so after I left the classroom, I didn't go straight downstairs. I sent a message to my mom. "Mom, if I don't call you back in half an hour, go straight to the school's equipment room and call the police. Luyan and the others are trying to mess with me. I've already started recording and sharing my location." After sending it, I sent the same message to my stepfather. Then, I slipped my phone into the inner pocket of my coat and tucked the voice recorder into the sleeve lining of my school uniform. In my previous life, I lost because I had no evidence. This time, if they dare to lay a hand on me, I'll make sure they send themselves to court, too. I had just reached the corridor outside the equipment room when footsteps sounded behind me. I didn't turn around. The next second, someone suddenly covered my mouth. Another hand swung a hard object and struck the back of my head. I was already on guard and tilted my head to avoid the heaviest blow, but that strike still grazed my temple. With a buzzing sound in my ears, my vision went dark, and I stumbled forward. Someone behind me cursed. "Why is she reacting so quickly? Stop talking nonsense and get him in here fast." Several people grabbed me and dragged me into the equipment room. I struggled desperately, scratching blood marks on one person's hand with my fingernails. The man cursed in pain. "Damn, Xinyao, are you a cat or something?" I recognized the voice. It was Wang Ming. Li Yan's voice followed, tinged with suppressed irritation. "Don't actually hurt her, just cover her mouth." How laughable. "Knock me out, tie me up, drag me into the equipment room, yet still say not to really hurt me." Their so-called restraint is always based on what they think won't cause trouble. I stopped struggling. It wasn't surrender, it was because I knew that the more I resisted now, the harder they would hit. I wanted to live, send them all in alive. They taped my mouth shut and tied my hands and feet with hemp rope. The rope cut into my flesh, and a burning pain shot through my wrist bones. Someone smeared something on my face, thick blood, plasma, cheap paint, and the pungent smell of glue mixed together, making me almost vomit. I closed my eyes, lying motionless as if I had truly passed out. Li Hao lowered his voice and said, "Lu Yan, is she really unconscious?" Lu Yan fell silent for a moment, then reached out and patted my face. The force was not light. "Xinyao, stop pretending." I didn't react. He tapped twice more, finally starting to panic. "Wasn't she this fragile before?" Wang Ming forced a smile. "Don't worry, I'm tough-skinned and thick-fleshed. I'll be fine. Besides, she likes you so much. If you ask her to cooperate, she won't blame you even when she wakes up." That sentence was exactly the same as in the previous life. The recording pen was hidden in my sleeve. Every word was clearly recorded. Lu Yan didn't argue. He just said, "Hurry up, Suman is getting anxious." I closed my eyes, my heart cold as if frozen. "Can you hear it? Xinyao, this is the person you've loved for 18 years. He wasn't unaware that others were using you as a tool. He simply allowed it." 3. They carried me, chair and all, to the abandoned music classroom. The chair kept swaying along the way, the rope tightened more and more, and my hands and feet began to go numb. In my previous life, I struggled desperately on this path, only to receive a kick in the ribs from Wang Ming. In this life, I conserve my energy and remember every sound. The music classroom hasn't been used for a long time. The air smelled musty, the windows were covered with black cloth, and only a few candles flickered dimly. They placed me right in the middle of the classroom. Li Hao held up his phone, searching for the perfect angle. "This is going to be hilarious when we take the picture." Wang Ming was also excited. "Su Man wanted to experience being scared unconscious, right? This effect is perfect." Lu Yan finally walked up to me. I slightly opened my eyes a crack and saw him looking down at me from above. That face, I was too familiar with. When I was little, he carried me to the infirmary. As a teenager, he stood in front of me and said that anyone who bullied Xinyao was bullying him, but now, he personally pushed me into danger. He leaned forward, his voice lowered to a whisper. "Xinyao, stop fooling around. Just cooperate for a bit, scare Suman, and then I'll let you go." I looked at him. He probably thought I was still gagged with tape and couldn't speak, so he naturally arranged my suffering. The sound of high heels echoed outside the door. Tap, tap, tap. Suman had arrived. "Yan brother." Her voice was sickeningly sweet. "Where are you? It's so dark here. I'm a little scared." She pushed the door open, and the flashlight from her phone swept inside. The beam landed on my face, and at that moment, I deliberately struggled more forcefully. The chair let out a piercing creak. Suman screamed. I knew what she would do next, so the moment she grabbed the stool, I used all my strength to lean my body to the side. The first blow landed between the chair back and my shoulder. The wood shattered, and a sharp pain shot through my shoulder. The second blow came as she continued to strike. I fell to the ground along with the chair, avoiding a head injury. The bench scraped past my arm, and the bone hurt as if it were splitting. "Go to hell," Suman screamed. "Disgusting thing, die." There was no simple fear in her voice. There was excitement, there was hatred, there was also a kind of madness. As if finally finding an excuse to vent, the person in the shadows finally rushed out. Li Hao shouted, "Suman, stop, it's Xinyao." Wang Ming's voice trembled. "Don't hit him, something really will happen." But Suman acted as if she didn't hear, raising the stool again to strike me. This time, I heard Lu Yan's roar. Enough. He rushed over and snatched the stool, but it was too late. My shoulder ached fiercely, my arm went numb, and blood from my temple trickled down along I did not faint like I did in my previous life. Gritting my teeth, I used my bound wrists to rub against the sharp edge of a broken piece of wood on the ground once, twice, 3 times. The rope was finally half worn through. Lian crouched in front of me, fumbling to tear off the tape from my mouth. The moment the tape was pulled off, a sharp burning pain shot across my lips. His face was deathly pale. Xinyao, are you okay? Don't scare me. I can finally speak. I looked at him, my voice hoarse. Lian. He froze. I said slowly, word by word, call the police. He seemed not to understand. What? I said. Call the police. I stared at him. You knocked me unconscious, restricted my freedom, tied me up, gagged me, put makeup on me, and pushed me in front of Su-man as a prop. Su-man attacked me repeatedly with a stool. Everyone here is an accomplice. The music classroom was deathly quiet. Su-man's face changed, and she immediately burst into tears. Xinyao, how can you say that? I really thought you were a ghost. I was scared. I smiled, blood seeping from the corner of my lips. Is that so? By the time you struck the second and third blows, Li Hao had already shouted that it was a prank. Your last words. So it was Xinyao. I heard them. Su-man's cry caught in her throat. Lu Yin reached out to help me up. I avoided him. Don't touch me. At that moment, hurried footsteps sounded outside the door. My mother, stepfather, homeroom teacher, security guard, and 2 police officers from the nearby station rushed in. My mother screamed at the sight of me, almost losing her balance. My stepfather caught her, his eyes instantly reddening. The police officer saw the rope, tape, stool, and bloodstains on the ground, and his expression immediately darkened. Who called the police? I raised my hand. The watch screen was still lit. I sent my location and a distress message in advance. The recording has been on the whole time. I looked at Lu Yen. His face was pale, without a trace of color. Every word you just said has been recorded. For an ambulance took me to the hospital. When the test results came out, my mother almost fainted. Fractured scapula, broken right arm, mild concussion, facial soft tissue contusion, multiple superficial wounds, much lighter than in the previous life, yet these are still injuries deliberately inflicted by them. I didn't cry when the doctor treated my wound, but my mother kept shedding tears. She held my hand, her voice trembling intensely. Yo-yo, does it hurt? I shook my head. Mom, don't cry. This time, I didn't let them succeed. My stepfather stood nearby, his face frighteningly dark. He is usually gentle and rarely gets angry, but this time, he directly called the lawyer. Crimes will be prosecuted, civil damages will be claimed, no one will be let off, he said. No mediation, no apology, no private settlement. I looked at him, my eyes slightly warm. In my previous life, he said the same thing, but back then, we were pressured by the Su and Lu families, the evidence was tampered with, and too many classmates changed their statements. This time is different. The evidence has been in my hands since the moment they started plotting. That night, the police came to the hospital to take a statement. I handed over my phone, voice recorder, and all the watch location records. In the recording, Lu Yan's voice was crystal clear. She likes me so much, she'll definitely cooperate. Her skin is tough, she'll be fine. Wan Ming and Li Hao were discussing how to take me to the equipment room. Su-man said she wanted it to be more realistic, and everyone was inside. And the video from the music classroom. Wan Ming set up his phone himself to film Su-man getting scared. He probably never dreamed that this video would eventually become the evidence sending them to court. In the video, when Su-man first attacked, one might still argue she was startled, but after the second and third times, everyone around started shouting, "It's Xinyao." She still raised the stool, shouting die in her mouth. This is not a stress response, it was intentional. The officer listened to the recording and watched the video, his expression growing increasingly grim. Finally, he looked up and asked me, "Are you sure you don't want to accept mediation?" I looked at him. "I'm sure, I won't forgive." 5. The next day, Lu Yin came. He stood at the doorway of the hospital room, his face haggard, with bloodshot eyes. When my mother saw him, she slammed the fruit knife onto the table. "Get out." Lu Yin paused, his voice hoarse. "Auntie, I want to see Xinyao. You still dare to come see her?" Mom sneered. "You knocked my daughter unconscious, tied her up, and threw her to others to be scared by ghosts, and now you want to act all affectionate." Lu Yan's lips were pale. "I didn't mean to. I didn't expect Su-man would actually do it." I sat on the hospital bed, looking up at him. "Then did you ever think about whether I would be afraid?" He froze. I continued asking, "Did you ever think that the blow from behind might give me a concussion? When you tied my hands and feet, did you consider that the ropes might cut into my flesh? Did you ever consider whether I might suffocate when I woke up while you were covering my mouth? Did you ever treat me as a human being when you pushed me in front of Su-man?" Lu Yan's eyes turned red. "Yao-yo, I know I was wrong. I really just wanted to help Suman play a game once. I thought. I interrupted him. You thought I liked you, so I could tolerate anything. His face turned pale. I looked at him and suddenly felt that the version of myself from my past life, who had compromised for him time and again, was both unfamiliar and pitiful. Luyen, we've known each other for 18 years. I once thought that, at the very least, you wouldn't hurt me, but you've shown me that those who like you have no bottom line, no dignity, and no rights as a person in your eyes. His shoulders trembled slightly. No, that's not it. It is. My voice was soft, yet steady. You know full well that what you did was wrong. You just thought I wouldn't hold you accountable, but this time, I will get to the bottom of it. Leon finally cried. He stood at the door, like a child who didn't know what to do after making a mistake, but I will never be soft-hearted again. Mom called the security guard. When Luyen was asked to leave, he was still looking at me. Xinyao, I'll wait for you to forgive me. I closed my eyes. Then take your time and wait, even until death. You won't wait for it. 6. Suman arrived faster than Luyen. She wasn't there to apologize. She came with a lawyer, her parents, and even a bank card. Su's father sat in the hospital room, his tone condescending. Mission. My daughter was indeed a bit impulsive, but what's done is done. Name your price, medical expenses, nutritional expenses, and mental distress compensation. Our Su family can all cover. Su's mother sized up my face, her tone laced with disdain. Fortunately, this time it didn't really disfigure her, otherwise it would have been troublesome for a young girl. I laughed. Fortunately, Su's mother frowned. What kind of attitude is that? Suman sat beside her mother, her eyes red, as if she were the victim. Xinyao, I really didn't mean to. I was scared by you. My mind went blank. That's why I grabbed the stool. If you insist on suing me, my life will be ruined. I quietly looked at her. When you smashed me, you shouted, die. Her eyes flickered. I was just too scared. I nodded. After you realized it was me, you even smiled and said, oh, it's Xinyao. Sorry, I went a bit too hard. Her expression changed. Father Su impatiently slapped the table. Little girl, don't keep harping on one sentence. It's normal for young people to joke around and not quite get the boundaries right. If you insist on taking this to court, it won't do you any good either. My stepfather stood behind me and spoke coldly. Then let's meet in court. Su's father looked at him, his tone turning cold. Are you in business? Have you been discussing a project recently? Be not too ruthless in your dealings with people. That was a threat. In my previous life, they threatened me in the same way back then. My mother, fearing she would bring trouble upon our family, cried and urged me to focus on recovering my health first in this life. I flipped my phone over. The screen showed the recording interface. Mr. Su, I said, I have recorded the threatening remarks you just made to the victim's family. If you're willing to continue, I don't mind letting the police and the media listen in as well. Su's father's expression changed. Su's mother also panicked. Why are you such a sneaky kid? Who records conversations with people? I smiled. Someone who's been knocked unconscious and kidnapped once does learn a lesson. Suman screamed. Xinyao, you just want to ruin me. I looked at her. You ruined me first. I'm just returning what you did, exactly as it was. The Su family finally left in disgrace. As she reached the door, Suman turned back to glare at me. That look was exactly the same as in the stairwell in my previous life. I did not flinch this time. There was a security guard at the door, surveillance cameras in the ward, and my phone was recording. She never had the chance to push me down the stairs again. 7. The case quickly spread throughout the school. At first, some people still spoke up for Suman and Luyen. It was just a prank, no need to make a big deal out of it. Suman was really scared. She's usually so timid. Luyen is also quite unfortunate. He definitely didn't mean to hurt Xinyao. I didn't argue in the group. I directly handed over the evidence compiled by the lawyer to the school, including audio recordings, videos, hospital diagnosis certificates, and police case registration receipts. On the third day, the school issued a notice. Suman is under police investigation for suspected intentional injury, and the school has suspended all her eligibility for commendations. Luyen, Li Hao, Wang Ming, and others have been suspended from classes and are under investigation for organizing and participating in incidents involving unlawful restriction of personal freedom and severe injuries. After the announcement was released, the public sentiment completely shifted. Those who had previously spoken in their defense fell silent. Someone sent me a private message apologizing. Xinyao, I'm sorry, we didn't know they went this far. We thought it was just a normal prank, but we never expected they actually knocked you out and tied you up. You must take this all the way to the end. We support you. I didn't reply to each one. A delayed sense of justice is worthless to me. I only take screenshots and back them up. I remember what everyone once said, I don't want to take revenge on everyone, but I won't trust anyone easily anymore. Lu Yan's parents came to the door soon after. As soon as Lu's mother entered, she started crying. She used to be good to me, giving me gifts during holidays and even saying with a smile that she would treat me like her own daughter. But this time, kneeling in the hospital room, what she begged for was not my body, it was her son's future. Yo, I'm begging you, Auntie, Yan truly knows he was wrong. He's not a bad kid, he just made a mistake in the moment. I looked at her. Auntie, if the person who was knocked out and tied up today was Lu Yan, if the person whose bones were broken by Suman was Lu Yan, would you forgive him? Her crying stopped abruptly. I answered for her, no, you will call the police, hire a lawyer, and make everyone who hurt him pay the price, so, don't try to persuade me to be magnanimous. You can forgive because the knife didn't strike your own son. Mother Lu's face turned deathly pale. Father Lu remained silent for a long time before finally speaking. Yo, we will compensate. I shook my head. Compensation is a civil liability, criminal liability, no one can escape it. The school originally wanted to keep things under wraps. The vice principal came to the hospital with the grade level director and spoke very tactfully. Student Xinyao, the school will certainly protect you. But now is a critical period for college admissions. If this matter blows up, it won't be good for the school, for your classmates, or for you yourself. I looked at him. So you're saying I should just swallow it? The vice principal's face stiffened. Not swallow it, but handle it rationally. For example, let both parents negotiate first, impose internal school disciplinary measures, and try to avoid criminal proceedings. I asked him if I hadn't called the police in advance, hadn't recorded audio or video, would the school have believed me? No one in the ward spoke. I opened the tablet and played the video to the point where Suman raised the stool for the third time on the screen. Li Hao had already shouted himself hoarse, stop hitting, it's Xinyao, but Suman still swung down. I paused the video and looked at the vice principal. Is this what you call internal school handling, or should it be called being an accomplice? The vice principal's face turned very grim. The stepfather directly brought in the lawyer. The lawyer placed the printed materials on the table. We have already submitted the criminal complaint materials to the police and will apply for an injury assessment. If the school attempts to conceal, alter, or delete surveillance footage, or provides an opportunity for the involved students to coordinate their statements, we will hold them accountable as well. The vice principal finally fell silent. The grade-level director wiped away sweat and repeatedly assured, the school will fully cooperate with the investigation and will absolutely not cover anything up. After they left, Mom sat on the edge of the bed and held my hand. Yo, you really scared Mom just now. I asked her, Mom, do you think I'm being too harsh? Mom shook her head, her eyes red. Not harsh, Mom is just sad. My daughter used to cry even when she argued with others, but now she has to learn to gather evidence to protect herself. My nose tingled with emotion, but I didn't cry. In my previous life, I cried far too much. In this life, I will save my tears for those who truly deserve them. This matter quickly made its way online. Initially, someone edited the first half of the video, deliberately only showing Suman being frightened and screaming, and paired it with the title, Class Beauty loses control after being pranked, accidentally injures classmate dressed as a ghost. Should a few students' lives really be ruined over this? At first, the comment section was full of people trying to smooth things over, although hurting someone is wrong. Being scared can indeed trigger a stress response. Isn't the mastermind the girl pretending to be a ghost herself? If she doesn't participate, there wouldn't be any problem, right? Today's students have such poor resilience. Didn't everyone get pranked when they were kids? I didn't personally get involved in the argument. I directly had my lawyer send the full video and full audio recording, starting from when they discussed knocking Xinyao unconscious, to Lu Yan saying, she likes me so much, she would definitely be willing to cooperate, to Suman, knowing it was me, still continuing to raise the stool. Then there's the recording of the Su family coming to the hospital to threaten me. Once the complete evidence was revealed, public opinion instantly flipped. Is this called a prank? This is kidnapping and intentional harm. She already said she wouldn't go, yet she was knocked unconscious from behind. How can you defend that? Suman's words, go die, sent chills down my spine. This wasn't fear, this was an opportunity to kill. Lu Yan is also disgusting, using a girl's affection as a ticket to avoid punishment. The school can no longer contain it. The Provincial Department of Education has intervened in the investigation. The teacher involved, the security guard on duty, and the staff responsible for monitoring management were all held accountable. When Lu Yan and the others were suspended, the class group chat was as quiet as stagnant water. Someone secretly sent me a message. Xinyao, I'm sorry, I used to ship you and Luyan, now I realize he wasn't worthy of you. I didn't reply. Whether someone is worthy or not has long ceased to matter. What matters is that I will never again let anyone's judgment serve as the verdict on my life. 8. The process of preparing the lawsuit went smoothly, because the evidence was too complete. The lawyer was silent for a long time after watching the video. Mission, you're very smart. I lowered my eyes. Not smart, just someone who's died once, of course. I didn't say that out loud, in their eyes. I was just collecting evidence in advance. Only I know that I returned from hell for this moment. During the police investigation, Li Hao and Wang Ming were the first to crack under pressure. They confessed the entire planning process. It was Su Man who said she wanted it to be more realistic. Li Yan suggested finding Xinyao, saying she was the most obedient and definitely wouldn't refuse. At first, we just wanted to put on makeup, but later we were afraid she wouldn't cooperate, so we decided to knock her out first. No one expected that Su Man would actually hit someone. We know we were wrong. We are willing to testify. They cried while shifting the blame, but this time, shifting the blame was useless. They were the ones who knocked me out. The ones who tied me up were them. The ones who carried me into the music classroom were also them. Everyone had blood on their hands. Su Man's lawyer still argued that her actions were a stress response. After being frightened, my lawyer directly pulled out the video. In the video, after Su Man's first strike, Li Hao had already rushed out and shouted, "Don't hit him, it's Xinyao." But Su Man raised the stool and struck a second time. She shouted, "Die." When the third strike fell, Luyan rushed forward to block it. She even cursed, "Don't stop me. This isn't a stress response, this is venting anger." Luyan's lawyer tried to get him out of it, said Luyan was only planning a prank, not ordering Su Man to hurt anyone, but my lawyer also presented the recording. Luyan himself said, "She likes me so much, she would definitely be willing to cooperate, thick-skinned and tough, nothing will happen, don't actually hurt her, just cover her mouth." The last sentence became the sharpest evidence, because he said, "Don't really hurt her." It proves he knew what they were doing would hurt me. He knew, yet he still did it. 9. On the day of the trial, I didn't use a wheelchair. I walked in by myself. My shoulder still hurts, and my right hand is still in a cast, but I walk steadily. My mother wanted to support me, but I gently refused. "Mom, I can do it myself." The courtroom was packed. Media, school representatives, classmates, and family members from both sides. Luyan sat in the defendant's seat, looking noticeably thinner. When he saw me, he abruptly stood up, only to be pressed back down by the bailiff. Su Man was wearing a white dress, her eyes rimmed red. She probably wanted to appear innocent and pitiful, but when the video was played in court, that facade was torn to shreds. In the footage, I was knocked down from behind. They dragged me into the equipment room, tied my hands and feet, and gagged my mouth. Luyan stood by, not stopping them. He even personally adjusted the terrifying makeup on my face. In the music classroom, Su Man screamed, lifted a stool, and brought it down the second and third times. Everyone was shouting for her to stop. She didn't stop. Someone in the audience gasped. Someone muttered under their breath, "Is this what you call a prank? It's practically a crime." Su Man began to cry. "I really didn't mean to. I was just too scared." My lawyer calmly retorted, "Why did you laugh when you found out she was Xinyao?" Su Man's face turned pale. I was just scared stiff." The lawyer continued playing the next segment of the recording. It was a voice from the hospital room, Su Man speaking. "A disfigured cripple, what future do you think you have? No one will want you." The entire courtroom fell silent. Su Man's face turned completely pale. I knew she was finished. When it was my turn to speak, I stood up. My voice came out through the microphone, calm and clear. "I used to think that pranks were just jokes, but if a joke requires knocking someone unconscious, tying their hands and feet, gagging them, and pushing someone unwilling into danger, then it's not a joke, it's a crime." I looked at Luyan. His eyes were severely red. Luyan said he just didn't expect it to turn out this way, but he knew from the beginning that I wasn't willing. He knows I would be scared, knows I would be in pain, knows I might get hurt. He just doesn't care. Luyan lowered his head, his shoulders trembling violently. I didn't stop. "I do not accept any apologies from anyone. I also do not accept any mediation. They didn't just destroy my body, but also my entire understanding of intimacy and trust. I request the court to render a judgment in accordance with the law, not for revenge. It's to tell everyone that not all harm can be lightly brushed aside with a simple just kidding." After saying that, I sat back down. My mother was silently crying behind me. Stepfather held her hand. I looked at the judge. "In this life, I won't cry and beg anyone to believe me." I presented the evidence. Let them have nowhere to run. 10. On the day the verdict was delivered, the weather was clear. Su Man was sentenced to 6 years in prison for intentional injury resulting in serious bodily harm, with particularly egregious circumstances. She broke down in court. Unfair. I was just scared. Shinya deliberately tried to harm me. Dad, Mom, help me. No one can save her. Sue's father and mother looked ashen, no longer displaying the arrogance they had when threatening me in the hospital room after the case exploded onto the trending searches. Many issues within the Sue family's company were also exposed: tax evasion, illegal development, and forced demolition disputes. The wall falls and everyone pushes. They are too busy dealing with their own problems. Lu Yin was sentenced to 3 years in prison, suspended for 5 years, for organizing and carrying out a joint crime involving illegal detention and intentional injury. Li Hao, Wang Ming, and others were sentenced to suspended prison terms ranging from 1 to 2 years, depending on their level of involvement, and ordered to compensate for the corresponding damages. The civil compensation totals 3,800,000. It's not enough to make up for my injuries, but this is the outcome the law can provide. As he walked out of the courthouse, Lu Yin was released on bail. He rushed up to me, his eyes filled with pain. Yao, I'm sorry. I stopped in my tracks, his voice choked up. I know nothing I say will make a difference, but I truly regret it. If I could turn back time, I would never. I cut him off. Time has started over. He froze. I looked at him and suddenly felt a deep sense of irony. But even if it started over, you still made the same choice. Lu Yan's face turned pale. He didn't understand what I was saying, nor did he need to. I continued walking forward. He shouted from behind, Xinyao, I will spend a lifetime making it up to you. I didn't look back. Making it up to me. Some debts cannot be settled simply by paying money. Some people cannot be reclaimed just by regretting. In addition to the verdict, the school also imposed the final disciplinary action. Su Man was expelled from school. Lu Yin retained his student status under probation, but due to the criminal conviction and public opinion, his previously secured postgraduate recommendation was revoked. Li Hao, Wang Ming, and others also received disciplinary actions, with their scholarships, awards, and competition recommendations all invalidated. Their parents came to see me one after another. Some stood outside my building with gift boxes, waiting from morning till night. Someone knelt before my mother, saying their child was just following the crowd, begging me to let it go. Others sent me long text messages, with lines like, our child wasn't the mastermind, he just helped carry it a little, you ruined his entire life, do you feel any guilt? I forwarded all these messages to my lawyer. The lawyer responded uniformly, please do not harass the victim, or we will report it to the police. Since then, the world has become much quieter, but Lu Yin was not at peace. He started writing me a letter every day. In the first letter, he said he dreamed of that year in kindergarten when I shared half of my candied hawthorn with him. In the second letter, he said he remembered the first time I called him Brother Yin. In the third letter, he said he finally understood that he had taken my love for granted. I didn't open any of them. I asked my mother to put all the letters in a cardboard box and hand them over to the lawyer for safekeeping, not to move him, but to prevent him from pretending to be deeply emotional in the future, using these things to accuse me of being cold-hearted and ruthless. In my previous life, I suffered enough from being too soft-hearted. This life, I won't give anyone a second chance to hurt me. Su Man had it even worse. After the verdict took effect, the Su family sold 2 apartments to pay compensation and handle the company crisis. Her father once threatened to make it impossible for my family to survive in the city. Not long after, his own real estate project was found to be in violation of regulations, leading to a broken capital chain and partners terminating their contracts one after another. Sue's mother no longer wore her glittering, jewel-studded dresses when she visited the hospital. The next time I saw her was at the court's enforcement window. Her hair was disheveled, her face ashen, and her eyes were filled with hatred when she saw me. I looked at her calmly. Don't look at me like that. From start to finish, it wasn't me who sent your daughter in. She lifted the stool herself. Sumu's lips moved, but in the end, she said nothing. She probably finally understood. Some money can't buy back freedom. Some power can't suppress ironclad evidence. 11. After the verdict, we moved out of that city. The new city was by the sea. The wind was strong, and the air carried a faint smell of salt. My body recovered much better than in my previous life, thanks to the timely rescue. The injuries did not progress to an irreversible stage. There is a scar on the face. The shoulder occasionally aches on rainy days, and the right hand cannot write for long periods, but I am already quite satisfied. Compared to the shattered face and half-crippled body of my previous life, in this life, I can at least stand in the sunlight and breathe freely. I started psychotherapy. I also began studying again. I did not reapply to aviation school in my previous life, for Lu Yan's dream. I forced myself to love the sky of this life. I majored in law. I want to learn how to protect myself And also to protect more people like me who have been hurt by jokes. Mom asked me if I would regret it. I said no. I'm finally living for myself. She hugged me, crying. My stepfather secretly wiped away tears in the kitchen, thinking I hadn't noticed. Life moves forward, little by little. The nightmares still come. I still wake up in the middle of the night, dreaming that I'm tied to a chair, with a stool hitting me repeatedly. But when I wake up, I turn on the light and reach for the voice recorder and phone on the nightstand. I tell myself, Xinyao, you won, they can no longer hurt you. 12. After the compensation arrived, I didn't spend it on any luxury items. Part of it was used for subsequent treatment, part was deposited into a separate account, and the remainder I anonymously donated to a local anti-bullying public welfare project in the city. The donation note contained only one sentence: may every person treated as a joke be truly heard. When the lawyer saw the receipt, he asked me, don't you think you're at a loss? I shook my head. Money can't buy back my sense of security, but it can turn into a knife, or it can turn into an umbrella. I don't want it to just stay on my wounds. He said I've changed a lot. I smiled. It's not that I've changed, it was finally about reclaiming the strength I had once given to others and bringing it back to myself. During the first few months after moving to the seaside, I wasn't actually as strong as I appeared. During the day, I could calmly review the case with my therapist. I could discuss the execution of compensation with my lawyer. You can sit at the desk and flip through the law books one by one, but as soon as night falls, I am still dragged back to that abandoned music classroom by nightmares. In the dream, my mouth is sealed, and my hands and feet are tied. Su-man raises a stool. Lian stood in the shadows, watching me. I screamed desperately, but no sound came out. When I woke up, I was often drenched in cold sweat, with red marks on my wrists from unconsciously struggling to prevent me from falling in the middle of the night. My mother patted all the chair legs in the house. My stepfather installed a motion sensor light outside my room. As soon as I opened the door, the hallway would light up. He said, Yao, don't be afraid. There's always someone at home. For the first time, I took the initiative to call him Dad. He stood at the kitchen door, still holding a bowl of hot porridge, and his eyes instantly welled up with tears. From that day on, I truly felt that I was not alone. I began to slowly practice going out. The first time I went out, I only made it to the entrance of the neighborhood. A child by the roadside stared at the brace on my arm, and I instinctively tried to hide, but Mom held my hand. Yao, you didn't do anything wrong. You don't need to hide. The second time, I walked to the seaside. The wind blew in, salty and cold. I stood by the reef, watching the waves surge forward layer by layer, then recede. At that moment, I suddenly understood wounds do not heal overnight, nor does life restart immediately after a verdict is passed, but as long as I am willing to keep moving forward, it won't remain stuck in that music classroom. A year later, I received a call from Lu Yan's mother. She was crying so hard she could barely speak. Yao, Yan has gone mad. He's looking for you every day. Drunk, I'd call your name and say I killed you. When awake, I'd watch the trial footage over and over, locking myself in my room, not eating or drinking. A few days ago, he saw a girl on the street who looked like you, chased after her, knelt down to apologize, and was taken to the hospital by people who thought he was mentally ill. The doctor said he has severe depression and tendencies toward schizophrenia. Yao, Auntie, please, just come and take a look at him. I held my phone, silent for a long time. The waves outside the window crashed against the rocks one after another. I remember in my previous life, just before death, Lu Yan's hesitant hands at the stairwell. I remember in this life, in the courtroom, his shoulders trembling as he cried. I also remember what he said in the equipment room. She likes me so much, she'll definitely be willing to cooperate. I spoke calmly. Auntie, I won't go. Mother Lu's crying paused for a moment. Yao, I said, I'm also in therapy. The doctor said I can't be exposed to trauma triggers anymore. Lu Yan is one of my trauma triggers. The line went completely silent. I continued, he should be held accountable for what he's done. Regret isn't a death warrant. Pain is not an indulgence. I wish him well in his treatment, but I will no longer appear in his world. After hanging up the phone, I sat by the window and watched the sea for a long time. Lu Yan has gone mad. Su-man is in prison. Those who were involved will carry criminal records and compensation for the rest of their lives. Should I feel relieved? A little, but more than anything, it was calm. Revenge isn't about dragging myself into the mud, it's about taking back my life from their hands. I turned on my computer and continued writing my application materials. On the screen was the personal statement I had prepared for law school. The title consisted of just one sentence: not all pranks are worth forgiving. I typed the final period, and sunlight from outside fell onto the keyboard, very bright, I know. A new life belonging to Xinyao had just begun. Later, I got into my dream law school. On the day of enrollment, my mother saw me off at the school gate. She watched me walk into the crowd, her eyes turning red. I turned back and waved at her. A new classmate beside me noticed the faint scar on my wrist and politely asked, "Have you been injured before?" I nodded. Yes. She looked a little embarrassed. "I'm sorry." I smiled and said, "It's okay. It's all in the past now." It truly is in the past, not forgetting, nor forgiving, but rather, I have finally come to acknowledge that those hurts once happened, yet they no longer define who I am. In the first class of the semester, the professor asked us to introduce ourselves and explain why we chose law. When it was my turn, I stood up, sunlight streams through the window, falling onto my desk. I said, "Because I once almost had my life ruined by a single just kidding, so I want to know, after being hurt, besides crying and enduring, what else can a person do to reclaim justice?" The classroom fell silent for a moment, then someone began to clap softly. I lowered my head and sat down, feeling an unprecedented calm in my heart. In my previous life, Xinyao died in the stairwell. In this life, Xinyao walked up from there. That was enough. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My sister-in-law was set up by Jim next door. She was at a loss and sobbed uncontrollably. I splashed a basin of cold water on her face. I called 120 and 1101 after the other. Afterward, Jim ended up on the sewing machine. My sister-in-law also returned to her normal study life. Everything was calm until I accidentally ate poisonous mushrooms and died. I thought my husband, in-laws, and sister-in-law would be heartbroken, but I never expected. My husband couldn't wait to take out his phone. Phone. "That woman is dead. I can finally marry you." My sister-in-law laughed heartily. "Sis, I personally picked those poisonous mushrooms for you. Did they taste good?" My mother-in-law burned incense and prayed to the Buddha. "Thank you, Buddha, for your protection in getting rid of this troublemaker." She almost exposed the affair between me and Jim. What surprised me the most was my father-in-law. He also poured the drug into my sister-in-law's cup. "The boss is sending me on a business trip. Hurry home and pack 2 sets of clothes for me. I'll be waiting for you at the airport." When I received my husband's call, I realized I had been reborn. In my previous life, he said he had to go on a sudden business trip and asked me to go home and help him pack his luggage. I rushed home, never expecting to run into the scene of my sister-in-law being drugged by our neighbor, Jim. Without hesitation, I dialed 110 and 120, sending that beast Jim off to work on a sewing machine in prison. I thought I was the hero, clad in golden armor and riding on a rainbow cloud, coming to my sister-in-law's rescue, but afterward, my mother-in-law always says, intentionally or not, a girl's reputation is the most important thing. My daughter's life is ruined. Your sister-in-law meant well for you. She was just too impulsive at the time. Don't blame her, my dear. I felt upset and tried to confide in my husband, but he didn't take my side. My mom didn't mean anything by it. Don't overthink it. Such a big matter. And you didn't even discuss it with me. You just went straight to the police. Now everyone is pointing fingers at our family, all thanks to you. My thoughts were interrupted by my husband's impatient urging. "Speak up. Are you deaf or mute? Don't forget to bring me that gray pajama set. Everything you do is careless, not giving anyone a moment's peace." Leo has a gray pajama set with several holes in it. I still couldn't bear to throw it away and wore it almost every day. I didn't know until after I died that it was a birthday gift from his first love. Seeing that I still didn't speak, he lowered his tone. "Be good, my dear. You know, I can't sleep at night without that set of pajamas." I sneered inwardly. I know all too well. He held the wrinkled Afang in his arms and confessed his feelings with deep affection. "Wearing it feels like holding you. That's when I feel secure and at peace." Fiona, a woman in her 40s or 50s, nestled in Leo's arms with a coquettish expression. Thinking about their motherly affection and filial piety scene, I couldn't help but shudder with disgust. My thoughts are in disarray, and before I can sort them out, I've decided to hold my ground for now. "I'm also at work and can't get away." The other person sneered. "Your job is so laid back. Can't your company function without you for a while?" I still spoke in a calm tone. "The leader just had a meeting, and there will be an inspection this afternoon." Leo clearly didn't expect to run into a soft rejection here. In the past, I always gave my full cooperation. I have hardly ever refused his requests. After a long pause, he said in a displeased tone, "Forget it. You're a busy person. I don't have the honor of being able to order you around." "Yes, you don't have the honor to order me around, but you have the honor of witnessing a grand drama. You blamed me for calling the police before. I want to see what you will do this time." After hanging up the phone, I carefully review everything in my seat. In my previous life, I was truly foolish. I thought it didn't matter if my family didn't appreciate it, as long as I had a clear conscience, until I accidentally ate poisonous mushrooms and died. My soul still lingered reluctantly to bid farewell to my family. What I saw was my husband's face beaming with joy as he eagerly took out his phone. "Afang, that woman is dead, I can finally marry you. Only then did I realize that my husband, who had always been so loving, had long betrayed me. Mother-in-law burns incense and worships Buddha. Thank you, Buddha, for protecting us and removing the scourge from our family. If Sarah were to expose Jim's affairs, we'd all be finished. I was surprised. Isn't Jim the scoundrel who drugged and assaulted my sister-in-law? What else is going on between them? What surprised me the most was my father-in-law. He also poured the drug into his sister-in-law's cup. I shook my head, but at that critical moment, my soul power dissipated. I didn't see what happened afterward. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn into the present. But regarding the relationship between Jim, my mother-in-law, and my sister-in-law, I had a vague suspicion in my heart, just waiting for the next step of verification. The phone suddenly rang. It's my husband. Come back quickly, something's happened at home. The background is the familiar sound of my sister-in-law crying. If we're going back, then we're going back. Who doesn't love joining in on the excitement, rushing home with sparks and lightning all the way, on the way? I also called my father-in-law and mother-in-law. Mom, Leo said something happened at home, but he wouldn't tell me what it is. I'm so worried. Dad, you're still fishing. Hurry home and see what's going on. Something's happened. When I got home, I saw Jim kneeling on the ground, slapping himself repeatedly. His clothes were disheveled, his pants zipper wasn't even pulled up, and his face was bruised and swollen. There was no trace left of the elegant and gentlemanly young boss he had been before. Clothes were scattered all over the floor, underwear, panties, little skirts, little shirts. Judy wrapped herself in the blanket, sobbing softly. Her face was flushed, and the effects of the drug had clearly not completely worn off. Even her crying carried a hint of coquettishness. Seeing Judy like this, Leo was so angry that his eyes seemed to spit fire. He raised his fist and indiscriminately pounded Jim's face. Damn old man, how dare you treat my sister like this? Don't you have a daughter? Are you even human? The in-laws pushed the door open and the mother-in-law let out a sharp scream. Leo, what are you doing? Stop it. She spread her arms like a mother hen protecting her chicks, shielding Jim behind her. This tension and concern were things I had completely overlooked in my previous life. Now I see. Their relationship is indeed not simple. We're all neighbors. Leo, how could you hit someone so casually? Hit someone casually? Look at what kind of outrageous things he's done. Mother-in-law finally sensed the situation before her. She understood everything, yet she still stared at Jim as if unwilling to give up, her voice trembling. Jim, what is going on? Jim shamefully slapped himself twice more across the face. This time it was much stronger than before. He said nothing, just lowered his head even further. Mother-in-law couldn't handle the shock. He collapsed to the ground, unable to speak for a long time. What a sin. It's all a sin. The father-in-law standing nearby threw down the fishing gear in his hand. She grabbed the mother-in-law, who had collapsed on the floor, and dragged her aside. Then, like a madwoman, she began punching and kicking Jim. As the mother-in-law was dragged away, her forehead hit the corner of the sofa, and blood began to flow. Clutching her head, she wailed and begged through her tears, "Stop hitting, you're going to kill someone." My husband was adding fuel to the fire. Beat this scoundrel to death. The house was in complete chaos. Huddled on the side, Judy stood up wrapped in a blanket. She mustered all her courage, pointed her finger at Jim. "Call the police. I want to call the police." The mother-in-law's wailing abruptly stopped. Tears and snot still stained her face, but she had stopped making sounds. She looked utterly bewildered, lost in thought. Jim ignored the punches and kicks raining down on him, kneeling on the ground and knocking his head against the floor with loud thuds. "Judy, please, don't call the police. It's all my fault. I was watching TV at home, and I don't know how it happened, but the TV started playing those scenes. I was momentarily confused. I'll pay compensation. Any amount is fine." Momentarily confused. My husband repeated his words. "A moment of confusion and you have the medicine." It was clearly premeditated. In desperation, Jim looked at his father-in-law. "David, you know about this medicine. You were the one who gave it to me." The father-in-law scolded sharply. "I gave it to you for your daily entertainment, not for you to use on my daughter. It seems these two old men usually don't have good intentions." The husband looked at his father with a complicated expression. She took out her phone and was about to dial the number. "Call the police. Let this scumbag spend the rest of his life working on a sewing machine in prison." But before the call could connect, her mother-in-law slapped her sharply across the face. She scolded Leo sharply. "She may be immature, but you should know better. By calling the police, are you trying to let everyone know about this disgraceful matter?" After being hit by her mother-in-law, Leo's entire demeanor weakened. My father-in-law also began to persuade her. "Good daughter, sending him to prison is too lenient. Trust me, I will fight him for the rest of my life. From now on, I will go to his door every day to beat him, curse him, and humiliate him, making his life worse than death." Judy hesitated a little. "But my sister-in-law said that women should defend their rights, be brave, and stand up for themselves. My sister-in-law and I once watched a documentary called Dark Diary together. The female protagonist had a similar experience. She chose to expose the atrocities to the public and seek justice for herself. I did say that women who suffer sexual violence should bravely step forward. Only when the wrongdoers are brought to justice can the harm suffered be properly accounted for. Judy looked at me, hoping for my support, but I thought of her cheerful smile after my death. It's all because you meddled in other people's business. My life has been completely ruined by you. Mother-in-law began to persuade Judy with a pained expression again. Your sister-in-law is just talking without feeling the pain herself. A girl's reputation is so important. If this matter gets spread around, how will you ever get married in the future? I am your biological mother. What blood relation do you have with your sister-in-law? Are you going to believe your own mother or your sister-in-law? I quickly clarified. I never said I was going to call the police, Judy. Whether you call the police or not is up to you, but don't pin it on me. Judy hesitated. Finally, wrapped in a bedsheet, she ran back to her room sobbing. Actually, in my previous life, I had consulted Judy before calling the police. She said, I believe you, bad people should be punished, but afterward, he blamed everything on me. In this life, without my support, she ultimately lacked the courage to report it to the police. Driven by shame, keeping the violation to oneself only causes more severe secondary harm she will be trapped in today for the rest of her life. Leo frowned as he watched all of this, wanting to say something more, but his phone rang. He glanced at the screen, put the phone to his ear, covered the microphone with his other hand, and walked toward the balcony. Leo, I've been waiting for you for so long. A gentle, soft female voice drifted by. It was Fiona. Fiona was my husband's godmother, the parent of the university student my husband tutored when he was still an innocent young boy. He was captivated by this woman who retained her charm. She taught him how to behave, how to handle matters, bought him clothes, took him on trips, and showed him the world. After graduating from university, Leo insisted on marrying Fiona. Despite his family's objections, his parents went on a hunger strike in protest. Fiona is deeply understanding and reasonable. An old woman like me doesn't deserve you. Go and have a normal relationship, get married and have children, so the Wu family can have an heir. By that time, if you still want to be with me, I believe your parents won't object. The clever Leo immediately understood her subtext, so he soon got to know me through a blind date. He was really thoughtful when he pursued me. When I worked late, he would wait quietly in his car downstairs at the company. When it's cold on a date, he gives me a cup of hot milk tea to warm my hands. On food streets, I'm in charge of buying all kinds of snacks, taking a bite, and he finishes the rest. Because I grew up in an orphanage, I've been struggling alone in this world, so I desperately try to hold on to the little warmth others give me. Little did I know that it is precisely because there is no one behind me that I need to save myself. I naively thought he was the one who could accompany me for life. Now that I think about it, all of this is thanks to the godmother's excellent training. I even suspect that the sweet messages he sent me and the sweet gestures he made were all taught to him step by step by the godmother. I was actually a part of their play. How disgusting. Leo was on the balcony for a long time answering the phone. When he returned, his expression had softened considerably. It seemed the godmother had already made up her mind. He made the final decision. A girl's reputation and chastity are more important than her life. We'll just treat it as if Judy was bitten by a dog. Family scandals shouldn't be made public, so this matter must not be spread. He looked at Jim, who had let out a sigh of relief, his head slightly raised. Of course, we can't let you, this dog-like scoundrel, off easy either. 1 million, as compensation for my sister's emotional distress. Due to this incident, Leo was unable to go on his business trip. However, he certainly lived up to the godmother's expectations. That very night, he dragged me to bed again, insisting on having a child with me. I can't help my physical disgust. I leaned over the toilet and vomited. Leo's face was icy cold. You're my wife. Can't I even touch you? Then why did I marry you? All right then, no more pretending. The fox has shown its tail, hasn't it? I could just give him 2 big slaps and tell him I saw right through his little schemes ages ago. Divorce, but I didn't. Those who betray true hearts shouldn't be let off so easily. I want to watch them pay for their sins one by one. I had long been prepared to protect myself. I shyly took out the 2 red lines I had prepared earlier from my bag. Leo's expression changed faster than flipping a book. He immediately started fussing over me, calling me baby this and baby that. I pretended to be angry, threw his bedding onto the sofa, locked the bedroom door, feeling free and at ease. Since this incident happened, my mother-in-law seemed to have suffered a major blow. She used to talk about wanting a grandson every day in front of me. Now that the grandson has arrived, she can't get excited at all, crying all day long. I almost empathized with her. Thinking of the similar features between Judy and Jim, I guess my mother-in-law's suffering is something she can't even talk about. My father-in-law, who had been silent all along, always prepared my favorite dishes whenever he cooked. Judy cried at home for 3 days and didn't even want to go to school. She was already at the bottom of her grade level, and now that she didn't go to school, the teachers didn't try to persuade her to stay. Later she went on a hunger strike and threatened suicide. Again, when they took her to the hospital, the doctor said it was mild depression. Her mother-in-law immediately signed Judy up for a 7-day, 5-night group tour in Y City. After they returned, she bought Judy a bunch of new clothes and the latest model of the fruit phone. Judy's face lit up with a smile. Of course, I'm happy too, because of the pregnancy, influenced by hormones. I often get unreasonably jealous and can't stand it when others have something I don't. They go traveling, I go buy a gold bracelet, they buy clothes, I go have a big meal, my sister-in-law buys a new phone, I throw a tantrum to get a new car. If Leo shows even a hint of hesitation, I wiped my tears and grievance. Food, drinks, and daily necessities, everything is for the child in my belly. I can't let the child in my belly suffer with me, otherwise, let's wait a little longer. Leo pondered for a long time before finally taking out his credit card. I held onto his arm, my eyes sparkling as I looked at him. Thank you for the gift, hubby. You really are the most handsome and adorable man. Honestly, even if you gave me a $10 bracelet from the roadside, I'd love it. It's just because I love you that I want to feel your special affection and know that I matter to you. Leo seemed to have an aura of 9 meters under my gaze. He looked at me with a pleased expression. Darling, you've changed a lot recently. Really, how have I changed? He thought for a moment. I can't quite put it into words, but you're just getting cuter and cuter. I understood in my heart, after getting married, because our new house was being renovated, my husband and I lived with my in-laws to show consideration for the difficulty they faced in doing household chores. I remind my husband almost every day not to throw his smelly socks around when he gets home, and to put used dishes in the sink on weekends. I also urge him to help with the cleaning, but now, I no longer nag about these things and simply obey him in everything, providing him with full emotional value every day. Phrases like, honey, you're so handsome, honey, you're the best, and honey, you're so smart. His sense of superiority naturally arises. How could he not be satisfied? Leo is becoming more and more doting on me. He has been working less overtime recently and leaves work on time every day. Fiona couldn't hold back any longer. She called Leo, saying there was urgent work at the company and he needed to work overtime. Leo was in the kitchen making a fruit platter for me. Hearing the phone, he helplessly spread his hands. Baby, there's no way around it. They don't know how to do anything and are all relying on me. I picked up a piece of apple and put it in his mouth. I saw him out the door. Hurry up, honey, you've worked so hard for our family. Leo kissed me tenderly on the forehead, clearly moved. Otherwise, I held back my disgust and urged shyly, hurry up, don't delay your work. Leo buried his head in my collarbone. It's okay, we haven't done that in a long time, it's fine to be a little late. I secretly clenched my fist. Damn it, I can't take it anymore. Just then, a voice sounded from behind. Secretary Wu. Fiona, a woman in her prime, wore a solid-colored silk dress with long, straight hair, staring at Leo with a face full of resentment. Leo quickly straightened up and instinctively put some distance between us. Did I come at a bad time? Fiona adopted a kind and approachable demeanor, as if a superior showing consideration for a subordinate. It's mainly because the matter is quite urgent. If it's really inconvenient, we can always do it tomorrow. With that, she turned to leave. I quickly stopped her, generously expressing my support and understanding. Watching the two of them leave, I called out, honey, the baby and I will be waiting for you at home, behaving well. Leo was uncharacteristically guilty. He didn't even dare to look me in the eye. Fiona was on the verge of losing her composure. I smiled even more innocently. I waved them off with a smile. I had actually noticed her long ago. I just wanted to deliberately annoy them. She has always been the one with the God's perspective, controlling my fate. They deceived me, even made me give birth to a child, only to abandon me afterward. I will take my revenge step by step, making them pay back double. Back in the bedroom, I opened the surveillance footage of the new house. How did I find out that their meeting place was my new home? A few days ago, I received a utility bill reminder for my new home on WeChat. I haven't moved into the new house yet, so how could there be water and electricity charges? In my previous life, I foolishly complained to my husband about it, and he immediately said it might be their mistake and that he would handle it. In this life, I didn't alert the enemy. I quietly paid the fee and immediately bought surveillance cameras to install at home. Sure enough, just over 10 minutes later, the two of them appeared on the surveillance footage. Fiona looked Aggrieved, your wife is young and beautiful. Without me, you two would probably be very happy, Leo vowed solemnly. After all these years, don't you know how I feel about you? But I can see that your wife is truly a good woman. What we're doing is wrong. We should end this sooner rather than later. Leo was getting anxious. The house was bought by you. The renovation and furniture were all handled by you. In my heart, you are the mistress of this home. Sarah has been wanting to move into the new house, but I've been putting it off just to prevent her from tainting our new home. Once she gives birth, my mom will agree to our divorce. Fawn, you've suffered these past few days. I will love you twice as much from now on. Fiona lay in Leo's arms, sobbing softly. If you don't let me go now, I'll only become more dependent on you and more afraid of losing you. Now I can't even face my husband. My body and soul belong only to you. I'm so jealous of your wife, it's driving me crazy. She can love you openly and honestly, so why can't I? Then the two of them poured out their hearts to each other, and soon they couldn't wait any longer and started doing unspeakable things on the sofa. I munched on sunflower seeds while recording the screen and binge-watching the show. When Leo returned home again, he was holding a cake from the brand I like, and a bouquet of passionate red roses, looking at that face seeking praise. I'm so touched I could cry. My dear husband, you really do share your favors equally. Judy didn't stay quiet for 2 days before she came back home crying, and the first thing she did was ask her mother-in-law for her 1 million. Of course, the mother-in-law refused. Where would I get another million? You spent money on traveling, and you bought a new phone. Besides, what do you need so much money for at such a young age? Have I ever let you go hungry or thirsty? Leo spoke up from the side. You eat the Wu family's food, drink the Wu family's drinks, and even your tuition is paid by us. Where would you get your own money? Sooner or later, all that money will belong to our family. Judy screamed. Don't think I don't know. You've been using my money to buy your wife a new car and gold bracelets. I tucked away the large gold bracelet that had accidentally been exposed and spoke in a friendly tone. Judy, even if I'm borrowing it from you on behalf of your brother, is that not okay? When we have the money, we'll pay you back. I need money for postpartum recovery after giving birth, plus formula, diapers for your nephew, and later on, all kinds of interest classes in elite schools. Doesn't all that cost money? As his aunt, isn't it only natural for you to spend a little on your nephew? I shouldn't have said anything. The more I said, Judy was even more furious. She screamed and raved like a madwoman, completely hysterical. That's the money I sold myself for, and you actually spent my blood money. She swept all the plates and bowls off the dining table in one go. She started smashing whatever she could see. Her mother-in-law rushed over to stop her. Judy, blinded by rage, picked up an ashtray from the table and threw it at her mother-in-law. The ashtray hit her mother-in-law on the forehead, reopening the freshly healed wound and causing blood to flow again. She screamed, covering her forehead and cursing Judy. You wretched fool, what madness has taken you? Judy tearfully accused, it's all because you wouldn't let me call the police. You've ruined me. Everyone knows I was raped. I was supposed to be the victim, deserving of sympathy, but now they're saying I'm blackmailing, scamming, that I sold myself for $1 million, calling me cheap, a prostitute. My mother-in-law gasped. Who said such a vile thing? I'll go find them. Who are you looking for? My classmates all say this in private. My classmates are isolating me, and now no one wants to play with me. If I hadn't overheard them saying that in the restroom, I wouldn't have known. No wonder my good friends have been ignoring me lately. They also said that Jim himself mentioned it, 1 million, and he ended up with someone who wasn't even a virgin. What a waste. Without another word, the mother-in-law stormed out and began banging loudly on the neighbor's door. Jim's son opened the door. Jim, come out here, you damn bastard. How could you treat a child you watched grow up right before your eyes like this? Jim, I'm going to fight you to the death. Kevin, in his 30s, tall and burly, stood like a mountain blocking the doorway, looking at the mother-in-law with contempt. Auntie, my dad made a mistake, but he already paid for it. 1 million, even a high-class socialite isn't worth that much. Killing someone is as simple as a nod. What more do you want from him? Are you bullying an old man at home with no one to care for him? So Kevin felt his father was at a disadvantage. He came specifically to support his dad. My mother-in-law was a bit intimidated by this Kevin, but she still stiffened her neck and shouted, Jim, come out here. Is it you who's been ruining Judy's reputation outside? You'll regret it. I want to talk to you alone. Then you'll realize what a despicable person you are. Kevin sneered. Alone? Auntie, haven't you spent enough time alone with my dad? Mother-in-law's face changed dramatically. You, what do you mean? You know very well what I mean. Jim sighed in the room. Wendy, I haven't been spreading rumors outside. What good would it do me? I've Lived half my life, and I have my pride too, Kevin sneered. You have pride. If you had pride, would you fool around outside every day and drive my mom to an early grave? Let me tell you, Jim, you squandered the million that was rightfully mine. Now I don't have the money to get married, and you have to take responsibility for it. Kevin sized up Judy through the doorway. Judy, since your reputation is already ruined and no one will marry you, I'll just have to lower my standards and marry you. The mother-in-law, clutching her wound, was so shocked by these words that her jaw dropped. What did you say? You want to marry Judy? Kevin took it for granted. Since Judy has already taken the 1 million I saved for marriage, she has to marry me. Impossible, absolutely impossible, the mother-in-law shouted. I disagree. I agree. Father-in-law walked over. Wendy, you're too impulsive, for a daughter like ours. It's already a blessing if she can get married. Let's quickly pick an auspicious day for the child. Upon hearing this, Wendy became so anxious and angry that she fainted on the spot. When her mother-in-law slowly regained consciousness in the hospital room, the first thing she saw was Kevin holding Judy's hand. With Judy blushing shyly, she almost fainted again. Kevin is 8 years older than his sister-in-law. Judy loved following Kevin around and playing with him when she was little. Kevin, relying on Jim's wealth, wore and used only name brands every day. He had developed a somewhat aristocratic young master's demeanor, yet this kind of carefree and nonchalant attitude is fatally attractive to girls who haven't yet entered society. Judy hesitated for only a few seconds before agreeing. What else could I do? I have no other choice. She even comforted her mother-in-law in return. I'm already grateful that Kai doesn't mind that I was violated by his father. Actually, I've had a crush on Kai since we were kids. Marrying him now feels like a dream come true. No one noticed the malicious glint in the eunuch's eyes. He cheerfully chimed in. That's wonderful. A bad thing has turned into a good thing. Wendy, I've noticed since you were little, you always liked having Judy play with Xiao Kai. This could be considered a childhood betrothal. The mother-in-law seemed to have lost her mind, staring blankly at everyone. Suddenly, she could no longer hold back and screamed hoarsely, You cannot get married. How can siblings get married? Wendy finally admitted it. When she was young, she looked down on her husband for being incompetent and earning little money. She had an affair with Jim next door. Judy is Jim's child. Wendy knelt before him, continuously slapping herself. Old Wu, I've wronged you, Old Wu, all these years. I've wanted to tell you, but I just didn't have the courage. The father-in-law crouched in the corner, head bowed as he smoked, not looking up even as the mother-in-law's slaps resounded loudly. Wendy, when I was young, I worked on the construction site every day, exhausted and worn out, and still had to do your laundry and cook for you when I got home. I never let you do even a little housework and gave you all the money I earned. You made me wear the green hat for so many years. You are truly vicious. Wendy cried bitterly. Yes, I'm wicked. I deserve it. So my daughter was raped by her own father, and now she has to marry her own brother. It's all my fault. God, I don't want to live anymore. Let everyone punish me. My father-in-law sneered coldly. God has eyes, and everything that's happening to you now is your retribution. After hearing this, Kevin spat in disgust. Ugh, what a damn buzzkill. What the hell is all this? He left in a huff. Leo punched the wall in anger. Judy covered her face and cried, You've spent all my money and ruined my love as well. I hate you all. Jim heard that the person he had raped was actually his own biological daughter. He said nothing and jumped into the moat, only to be found 3 days later, the day Judy went hiking to clear her mind. I knew she had completely turned to the dark side, and was about to seek revenge using the same method as in her previous life. I made plans to have dinner with friends after work. Whoever likes to eat that poisonous mushroom can have it. While having hot pot with colleagues, a colleague saw a news report. Family of 4 poisoned after consuming highly toxic mushrooms. Mother and child died on the spot. A resident of a certain community in our city picked mushrooms in the mountains and cooked them for dinner, resulting in the poisoning of a family of 4. The daughter and father suffered mild poisoning, while the son and mother died on the spot. Sarah, I remember you live in this community. I looked at the video on her phone. My sister-in-law was crying as she gave the interview. I didn't know these mushrooms were poisonous. I just thought they looked pretty and picked them for fun. Little did I know, my mom would use them to make soup. It happened on the very day of my husband and mother-in-law's funeral. I was utterly heartbroken and cried my eyes out. I can't stop seeing him every time I open or close my eyes. I can't sleep. I just can't sleep at all. We've always wanted a child. Just a few days ago, I thought I was pregnant, but it turned out to be a false hope. If only Leo had left me with a child, so I could have some hope for the rest of my life. Relatives and friends cried until their eyes were red. Some who knew The inside story between him and Fiona hesitated to speak, and seeing me so grief-stricken, felt even more sorry for me. The road ahead is still long. You must live well. I nodded. Yes, I will live well. After all, when my husband passed away, he surely hoped I could live a happy and joyful life. The father-in-law and sister-in-law were nowhere to be seen. Someone went to look for them. The front door of the house was locked from the inside. The residential building is situated above a bustling commercial street. Shops line both sides of the street, and crowds of people surge like tides. Suddenly, a disheveled figure fell from the sky, crashing heavily to the ground. Judy lay on the ground, her brains splattered, dead with eyes wide open. When the police came to the door, my father-in-law calmly smoked in bed, watching the video he had just recorded. Look, this is the daughter I've raised for over 10 years. I raised someone else's daughter, so I should collect a little interest. He proudly told the police how he had given the drug to Jim and how he had cast the video onto Jim's television. I just wanted revenge. After being a coward for so many years, I'm determined to pull off something big. David was sentenced to death, to be carried out immediately. I sorrowfully inherited all the assets, the marital home, the in-laws' house, along with their compensation funds and savings. And of course, the 1 million yuan from my sister-in-law's forced marriage settlement. Altogether, it actually amounts to 5 or 6 million, in our third-tier city, basically ensuring a worry-free life for the rest of my days. Fiona came to see me, and she said that she funded the purchase of Leo's wedding house. The renovation and furniture were all paid for by her. Even the car Leo bought for me was charged to her credit card. I generously thanked her. That's also the fruit of my husband's labor, his hard-earned money. Fiona threatened to sue me if I didn't return it to her. I explained the legal provisions to her. As long as you didn't explicitly state that the house and car were gifts solely to my husband, these assets are considered marital property. Now that he's passed away, the property naturally belongs to me. You support my husband supports me, no problem. She still wouldn't let it go. I showed her a video. Chen, how much should the copyright fee be for my little film? 5 million, in cash, otherwise, I'll send it to your son, your husband, your company's employees, and your business partners, and ruin your reputation. Fiona completely broke down. You're despicable and shameless. I burst out laughing. A woman like you actually has the nerve to call me despicable and shameless. I have no parents, no ties, no attachments. The key is, I have no shame and no sense of pride. I've decided, I'm going to latch onto you for the rest of my life. For the rest of your life, Sister Chen, you'll have to work hard and earn money. I've always been a big spender, and when the money runs out, I'll come find you. Don't change your phone number or your home address. Otherwise, if I can't find you, I might get anxious and start recruiting people online, and that wouldn't be good. Fiona wanted to lunge at me and scratch me, but she was immediately restrained by the 8-pack abs bodyguard I hired. I laughed even more happily. Chen, tonight at 8, we'll meet without fail. Fiona's 5 million arrived right on time. I sold both my house and my car, and with 10 million in savings, I went to the city I had always dreamed of. For the rest of my life, I will treat myself well, eat the food I want to eat, meet the people I want to see, and do the things I love. Flowers will bloom along the way, and so will my future path. After hearing the stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.